Imagine a pristine forest, sunlight filtering through the canopy, birds calling and a deer drinking from a crystal-clear stream. This is an ecosystem in balance, a delicate web of life where each organism plays a vital role. But what happens when this balance is disrupted by a new player with no natural enemies and an insatiable appetite? The harmony of the ecosystem is shattered, leaving chaos in its wake. This is the story of invasive predators, silent destroyers that can unravel the fabric of ecosystems. Invasive predators often arrive unnoticed, silent stowaways on ships or in cargo. Once established, their impact becomes impossible to ignore. Native species, adapted to a delicate balance over millennia, are ill-equipped to deal with these new threats. Prey animals with no natural defenses against the invaders experience sharp population declines. Predators that rely on the same food sources face increased competition and dwindling resources. Economies dependent on fishing or tourism suffer as native species dwindle. Human health is put at risk as some invasive predators carry diseases or disrupt vital ecosystems. The term invasive predator might conjure images of ferocious beasts, but the reality is often more subtle, though no less impactful. Invasive predators are species introduced to an ecosystem outside their native range, where they disrupt the existing balance. These introductions are almost always facilitated by human activities. The key characteristic of an invasive predator is its ability to thrive in this new environment, often at the expense of native species. They lack natural predators, competitors, or diseases that would normally keep their populations in check. This allows them to reproduce rapidly and spread unchecked, putting immense pressure on the existing ecosystem. The journeys of invasive predators to new environments are often unintentional, consequences of global trade and travel. Ships can carry hidden passengers in ballast water or clinging to cargo. Airplanes can transport insects or small animals as unintended stowaways. Intentional introductions, while less common, can have even more dramatic consequences. Species have been introduced for seemingly beneficial purposes, such as controlling agricultural pests or for sport fishing. Once an invasive predator becomes established, eradication can be extremely difficult and costly. Preventing their introduction in the first place is the most effective strategy. This requires strict biosecurity measures at borders, careful monitoring of trade routes, and public awareness campaigns. Predation is a fundamental force in nature, shaping ecosystems and driving evolutionary adaptations. Invasive predators disrupt this delicate balance. Unburdened by the evolutionary history of their new environment, they often possess hunting techniques or dietary preferences that native prey species have never encountered. Imagine a bird species that has evolved to nest on the ground, camouflaging its eggs among the leaves. This strategy, effective against native predators, proves futile against an invasive rat species with a keen sense of smell and a taste for bird eggs. The ability of native prey to recognize and respond appropriately to invasive predators is crucial for their survival. When confronted with an unfamiliar predator, these hardwired responses may be ineffective or even counterproductive. A small mammal, accustomed to fleeing from the scent of a native predator, might not recognize the danger posed by an invasive snake. This lack of recognition, coupled with the invasive predator's often superior hunting skills, creates an imbalance in the predator-prey relationship. Native prey populations, unable to adapt quickly enough, experience rapid declines. The impact of invasive predators extends far beyond the immediate decline of their prey. As prey populations dwindle, the predators that rely on them for food also suffer. This can trigger a chain reaction. leading to the decline of other predator species and a destabilization of the entire food web. The loss of biodiversity, a hallmark of invasive predator impacts, can have far-reaching consequences for ecosystem function and resilience. Each species plays a unique role in the ecosystem, and the removal of even a seemingly insignificant species can disrupt vital processes. Now, every ecosystem has a limited supply of resources: food, water, shelter, and nesting sites. Native species have evolved intricate relationships with their environment and with each other, ensuring a delicate balance in the utilization of these resources. The arrival of an invasive predator throws this delicate balance into disarray. These invaders often have broader diets, faster reproduction rates, or superior adaptations that allow them to outcompete native species for essential resources. Imagine a lake where native fish species have evolved to occupy specific niches, each feeding on a particular type of algae or insect. Invasive predators often possess a suite of characteristics that give them a competitive advantage in their new environments. These advantages might include faster growth rates, higher reproductive output, a wider tolerance for environmental conditions, or a lack of natural predators to regulate their populations. For example, the Burmese python, an invasive species in the Florida Everglades, can grow to enormous sizes exceeding 20 feet in length. Their size, combined with their ability to consume prey much larger than themselves, gives them a significant advantage over native predators like alligators. The pythons, with their voracious appetites, have decimated populations of mammals in the Everglades, outcompeting native predators for a shrinking pool of prey. One of the insidious aspects of invasive species is their ability to shift ecological baselines. As invasive predators become established and their impacts ripple through the ecosystem, what we perceive as normal gradually changes. We lose sight of the ecosystem's former state, accepting the degraded ecosystem as the new reality. Imagine a forest where a native bird species once filled the air with its song. The introduction of an invasive bird species aggressively competing for nesting sites drives the native bird to local extinction. Over time, the invasive bird song becomes the dominant soundscape, and the memory of the native bird's song fades. Picture a tranquil meadow, a tapestry of wildflowers buzzing with pollinators. Now imagine that same meadow overrun by a single plant species, its leaves crowding out the native flora, its roots altering the soil composition. While not always predators themselves, these invaders can drastically reshape the physical environment, making it inhospitable for native species. Invasive plants can create dense thickets, obstructing sunlight and hindering the growth of native seedlings. These changes in vegetation structure can disrupt animal movement, nesting success, and the availability of food resources. In aquatic environments, the introduction of invasive mussels can have profound effects, dramatically increasing water clarity by consuming vast quantities of plankton. Some invasive species are considered ecosystem engineers, organisms that directly or indirectly control the availability of resources to other species by causing physical changes to the environment. Consider the beaver, a classic example of an ecosystem engineer. While not typically considered an invasive predator, their introduction to non-native areas, such as South America, illustrates the profound impacts of habitat alteration. Beavers, renowned for their dam-building prowess, can transform free-flowing rivers into a series of ponds and wetlands. This dramatically alters water flow, sediment deposition, and the composition of plant and animal communities. The consequences of habitat alteration extend far beyond the immediate physical changes. Native plants and animals, finely tuned to the specific conditions of their habitats, may find themselves unable to adapt to these rapid changes. Imagine a grassland ecosystem maintained by periodic fires. The introduction of an invasive grass species more resistant to fire than native species disrupts this natural cycle. The invasive grass, able to outcompete native plants after a fire, gradually dominates the landscape, altering the frequency and intensity of future fires. This change in fire regime can have cascading effects on the entire ecosystem, impacting plant diversity, animal habitat, and even soil nutrient content. Australia, renowned for its unique wildlife, faces a battle against invasive species. The cane toad, introduced in the 1930s, has wreaked havoc on ecosystems. Brought from South America to control beetles, they spread uncontrollably. With no natural predators, their toxic skin kills native animals. Crocodiles, quolls, and goannas fall victim, disrupting the ecosystem. Across the globe, in North America, the European starling stands as another stark example of the destructive power of invasive predators. Introduced in the late 19th century, these birds, with their iridescent plumage and seemingly harmless nature, have become a pervasive presence, their flocks darkening the skies and their chatter drowning out the songs of native birds. While not direct predators in the traditional sense, starlings exert their dominance through aggressive competition for nesting cavities. Native birds, such as bluebirds, woodpeckers, and swallows, rely on these cavities for raising their young. However, the starlings, with their larger size and aggressive nature, often evict these native species, leaving them with limited options for reproduction. Beneath North America's waterways, a silent invasion has unfolded, impacting ecosystems and industries. Asian carp, introduced in the 1970s for aquaculture, escaped into the Mississippi River basin. Their rapid growth and breeding disrupted the river ecosystem. Consuming vast plankton, they upset the aquatic food web. This decline impacts native fish and commercial fisheries. The economic toll is severe, affecting tourism and fishing industries. The Asian carp invasion highlights the consequences of introducing non-native species. Section 1. Stemming the tide, prevention and control. The fight against invasive predators requires proactive measures and strategic interventions. Prevention is the first line of defense. Strict biosecurity measures at borders are crucial. Inspections intercept stowaway species. Public awareness campaigns are vital. Educating the public prevents ecological consequences. Section 2. Restoring the balance, rehabilitation and resilience. Prevention isn't always possible. Control and eradication efforts are necessary to restore balance. These efforts involve tailored approaches, including trapping and removal programs. Trapping targets invasive species threatening native habitats. Biological control methods require careful evaluation to avoid unintended consequences. The goal is to suppress invasive species and restore ecological balance. A shared responsibility, safeguarding our natural heritage. The intricate tapestry of life on Earth is woven together by countless threads, each species playing a vital role. Invasive predators threaten to unravel this tapestry, leaving behind a world impoverished in biodiversity. Combating this global challenge requires a collective effort, a shared responsibility to protect our planet. We must embrace a stewardship ethic, recognizing the intrinsic value of biodiversity. A call to action, preserving biodiversity for future generations. The fight against invasive predators is not a lost cause. Human ingenuity and collective action can overcome these challenges. By prioritizing prevention and control, we protect our ecosystems. This is a call to action to become stewards of our natural world, educate ourselves, make responsible choices, and support conservation. The future of our planet's biodiversity hangs in the balance. Let us act as responsible stewards for future generations. If you found this video enjoyable, please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, stay sustainably aware.